Welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate setting up a new Beckn network using Beckn-ONIX and conducting transaction on it. I'm going to use a cloud setup for this. I have configured 4 Amazon EC2 machines. I have also configured the subdomains and the DNS to point to these machines and also Nginx configuration on these to act as reverse proxies. All the details are there in the Beckn-ONIX installation guide. Now, I have cloned the Beckn-ONIX repository in all of these 4 machines. Now let's create a new Beckn network using Beckn-ONIX. Let's start with the registry. So I change into the installation folder and start the installation script. Okay, we have to create a new production network since we don't have a network yet. Let's say to here. We want to install the registry. We will skip the network configuration here. We'll come back to this for the BAP and BPP later, but let's skip it for the time being. We input the host name of the registry. So this is the location where the registry will be accessible. While the registry is getting installed, let's go and install the gateway. So again, we go into the installation folder. Start the installation script. Now, here we want to join the existing network, the network that we created just now. So you enter 1. We want to install the gateway. Again, we'll skip the network configuration. We add the URL of the registry that we created just now. Then we enter the publicly accessible gateway URL and let the gateway install. While the gateway is installing, let's move to the BAP. We move into the installation folder, start the script. We are going to join an existing network. We are going to install a BAP. We will skip the network configuration. We need to give the subscriber ID of the BAP, the URL where you want the BAP to be accessible. It's a registry's URL for subscription. Note the suffix subscribers here, right? And now the BAP is getting installed. Finally, we come to the BPP. Go into the installation folder, start the installation script, join an existing network. We want to install the BPP. We're going to skip the network configuration. We'll come back to the network configuration for BAP and BPP soon. Type in the subscriber ID of the BPP, the subscriber URL of the BPP, the registry URL with the suffix subscribers behind it. And now we also have to give the webhook URL. The webhook URL is the place where your shop is running or your marketplace is running. I have a sample shop running at this location and this installs the BPP. So now we have all the 4 components installed, but still we cannot do any transaction till we have downloaded and configured the layer 2 configurations. Let's wait for this to complete. We need to actually subscribe the BAP and the BPP at the registry. Let's do that while the BPP is coming up. So did you see the address of the registry we set up? Let's control click this and open the registry. So this is the registry. I'm going to log into it. We will see the network participant list. So in particular, we want to make this as subscribed. This is usually done by the network facilitator after all the verification of the seller. In our case, it's much more faster. We then go to the BAP and do the same thing. Okay, we have a functional network, but still the transaction cannot take place because the BAP and the BPPs do not have the layer 2 configuration. Let's try to do a transaction on this network. Let's just sign into a storefront that I have. And let's look for items. Okay, so it's gonna fail primarily because we do not have the layer 2 config set up. Let's go to the layer 2 config and we'll go to the BAP and the BPP individually and set up the layer 2 config. Let's start with the BAP. You need to go back to the layer 2 folder here and say run the download script BAP. It's going to ask for a layer 2 configuration file. This is usually provided by the network facilitator. In this case, I'm going to use something that is a sample file that is hosted on GitHub. So I'm going to paste in the part of that file. So this is going to copy the layer 2 configuration file into the folder. Similarly, I'll do this for the BPP and layer 2 download BPP, the same path. So now the BAP and the BPP have layer 2 configuration. Let's come back to the browser, to the storefront, search for the product again. Now it seems the search is going through. Let's wait for the search results. And the rest of the process is basically just a checkout process for a normal web shop. Okay, so let's select the product and continue the transaction. Click on the product, see the details, select it for buying. Choose the payment method and confirm the order. So the order is successfully placed. So what we did in the last few minutes is create a Beckn network with 4 machines, install the layer 2 configuration file for the retail domain and complete a retail transaction from the store. With the retail transaction done, let us try to see if we can do a transaction in another domain. I'm going to use Postman for this. I'm going to find charging stations around me. So let me send that request. And as expected, it comes back with an error saying the layer 2 configuration is not found. So what we added was for retail, and we need to do the same thing for this other domain. So again, we go to layer 2 config layer 2 folder and run the download script for, first let me run it for the BAP. I'm going to give the path of the sample domain layer 2 config file that I have for this domain. I paste that here. I go to the BPP and run the same script there and give the same path. Okay, both of them seem to be successfully installed. Let's go back to Postman and see the same request if it goes through. So I'm going to search for charging stations around me and go ahead and complete the transaction on that. It seems to be going through. The layer 2 configurator comes very fast. Okay, so we have search results for this. Let's go ahead with the remaining requests. Select. Okay, init. Okay, that went through. Let's go ahead with confirm. And finally the status for this. So let's go ahead and send a status request. So just as a recap, what we did in the past few minutes is I installed a core network, tried retail transaction on it, didn't go through because of layer 2 missing, then went ahead and installed the layer 2, finished the retail transaction, and did the same process for a transaction in another domain. So that's essentially what I had for today. Thank you.